one that you've come to expect. In fact, it's probably got the Patron, the Hunter, and maybe even the Demon Lock. Or Handlock. And Forsen, in the meantime, he's got his own interesting lineup of potentially being really aggressive or even playing Freeze Mage. I'm really interested to see if it works out for him.
Well, actually, I would say it's a big chance that Forsen is running the same lineup as he ran at HTC tournament. Will be 3 aggro decks. That might be the Mech Mage, Mech Shaman.
Mech Mage, Mech Shaman, and Zoo.
Yeah, Zoo.
Well,
why not Mech Zoo?
It's not, because you see Bane of Doom. I don't think Bane of Doom is Mech Zoo. But if you want to talk about the viability of Mech Zoo, I mean, go ahead.
No, not really.
It's not like just a game we get to guess.
It was rather a joke, you know. By the way, like we are sitting here with 2 Polish guys and an American. It's like a, you know, 2 Polish guys and an American go to a tavern. They knock to the door. What does the innkeeper?
And no one laughs.
No. What does the innkeeper say to that?
Well, you know, the innkeeper does not discriminate. He welcomes everybody in. As far as last time I checked.
He can say, "Let the crowd in."
You lost me there.
That was the Tempo Storm kind of really long-term joke.
Yeah, all right, I got you.
This is where you laugh for.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, Voidwalker stopping the Leper Gnome, one of the best.
That's a great opening because one thing that Hunter does really well is pressure Warlock extensively through the early game by curving out very strongly. And then it can leverage that pressure and turn into a racing scenario where, because Warlock sometimes has to expend resources to secure the board, they often have to tap as the game develops. And because you're tapping and your Hunter's hero powering, it's like, well, it's 4 damage to Warlock a turn. And then you end up just killing them even though they build up a board. But this is a great start for Warlock.
It is a great start. And that Gang Boss was huge as well to fill the turn 3.
Well, both players are a really great start here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Voidwalker and, Leper Gnome into Mad Scientist into, like, the weapon or coin Shredder is still very good, powerful options here. As a couple of guys here, it's like one of them was showing off their biceps.
The absent one.
The absent one.
Was it Pasha?
It's nothing compared to your biceps, Lothar, let's be real.
What about Pasha bicep?
Or yours. You have biceps too.
I try to squeeze things once in a while. I feel like the Shredder here is really good, but at the same time, your curve next turn is a little awkward. And the weapon does end up presenting some good removal options too in the future. It's just that this turn, the weapon doesn't get good usage. Yeah, so what's the best here?
This turn, the weapon seems to be the optimal play when it comes to mana usage, but as you said, it's really awkward to do with anything with it. Like, the weapon would just deal nothing. Like, the other option was to kill the Voidwalker and then go to phase with Mad Scientist, but that doesn't really achieve anything.
No, it becomes like Light's Justice status.
The thing that he's setting up here possibly is Juggler Unleash, because there's a Gang Boss. So some minions are going to get played. Attack into the Gang Boss, and then Unleash Juggler.
Yeah, this might seem perplexing to Dethelor. It's like, well, you know, maybe I'm running Explosive how are you going to load it up? But he's got Defender of Argus the next turn. So even if it was the worst case scenario where he threw in like 1 Explosive with the freezing, he'd be able to slap down Defender of Argus and be able to push for damage.
But this shows that there's no explosive trap in there. They're killing the direwolf here.
This is possibly freezing, right? Because you want to return one of those saves.
Yeah, most likely. Because if it was explosive, he wouldn't care about those minions.
Yep.
It's just that the direwolf is just really powerful trades. Oh, unfortunately, Forsen rolls low. That's actually the worst outcome for a lot of reasons. The Shredder lives. Nothing trades well into the Pilot Shredder. Well, it's going to be effective on the board.
To be honest, I was thinking about bouncing back the Gang Boss, then flame him into the Pilot Shredder, and then you have a probable Bane of Doom on turn 5.
You still do on turn 5, based off whatever comes out of the Pilot Shredder too.
Yeah, but now you're mana ineffective, because those turn 5 for Forsen, and you could have just done, you know, Bane of Doom this turn, and turn 6 might have been like implosion to anything else.
Well, this is the bad news that we were talking about. The fact is the Hunter can control the board pretty easily from this stage on and snowball. So Forsen needs this Bane of Doom to be epic.
Mal'Ganis!
Yeah, but even if he gets a...
Doesn't need to be Mal'Ganis. Like that or like Doomguard.
What about Pit Lord?
Felguard wouldn't be bad either.
Oh,
God!
He got Mal'Ganis!
That was Mal'Ganis.
Was that your Polish Mal'Ganis?
No, no.
That sounded weird.
I am the turtle. Dethelor does have an answer to it.
Yeah, of course.
The kill command to kill it off.
But then he has to sacrifice the Raptor too, right?
Or the bow charge. Bow charge wouldn't be awful.
9 damage to the face. Do you really want to risk that?
Oh, that's true. Let's
Versus
see.
Zoo. No, it's fine to just kill command and attack with the Raptor. And then you still have...
Yeah, but I really like leveraging the board, because then if you kill command and then use your own face, then you can play Leopard Gnome and Hero Power, put him down to 14. Or 12, actually.
The invulnerability is so weird here because he can't attack face.
He won't attack with that, like, at all.
Does he care about attacking face if he just uses his own Defender of Argus?
He just drops the Defender of Argus, and that's it.
Flame Imp doesn't do damage to him anymore.
Yeah, Flame Imp, Defender of Argus is pretty nasty. It's like the Flame Imp will be 5/4.
And the thing is, Forsen knows his opponent could have killed Mal'Ganis. He had 7 damage on board with the weapon.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is a pretty obvious setup for something else. It's like, well, you left Mal'Ganis on the board, so clearly you want to leverage the board to push for a win, so I have to defend up here, for sure.
So do you guys suggest, like, a Defender of Argus on the Flame Imp so that he has to kill the Flame Imp instead of just going for Mal'Ganis first?
I think you have to taunt up Mal'Ganis just in case that something happens, like a Hunter's Mark or whatever.
Right.
You have to get that second taunt. It's the best. You don't care really about the Mal'Ganis being killed because it acts like a sponge.
Right.
It gets so much damage into it.
You've definitely turned more into the control deck here, based off of your hand as well. You have a second Mal'Ganis, you have another Dr. Boom, so you're going to win in the late game.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure to avoid taking too much damage to the point where you can't actually do anything.
Exactly.
But the question is, what does he taunt? Taunt both or just taunt one?
Yeah,
I mean, look at that
both.
Flame Imp. It becomes a 6/5. You have to kill Mal'Ganis first, and then still get through 3 points of health.
Yep.
Oh, that's going to help, though.
That's good.
That's going to definitely help.
He might not need it. No, he actually doesn't need it.
So kill command to Mal'Ganis, sacrifice the Raptor. Then the Imp becomes 4/3. So you kill it with your weapon, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you can take that damage. You have a lot of health still.
I mean, this is starting to be where Forsen can stop taking damage. Then how does Hunter deal with the second Mal'Ganis? Guess what? The Hunter hero power is not really good against when your opponent has a Mal'Ganis on the board.
Just wait for an owl.
Oh, that's true. Another owl.
Just a good silence. Or
And then also, he has to kill this Defender of Argus, right? He doesn't want it to bounce back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is a very good point.
Yeah, you want to protect your freezing trap. But still, he does so much damage to face anyway.
Well, he can put him on 8.
8's pretty tempting.
Yeah, I guess the 8 might be more important because the Defender of Argus with 6 mana is not really usable at all.
And you have the Leopard Gnome, you have the hero power. So even if your opponent deals with the whole board, you still deal 4 damage.
I think he's also considering the possibility of Doomguard and how that interacts with Freezing Trap. If he ends up killing off this Argus, it also not only plays around the Freezing Trap, but also denies the Doomguard from being able to get value. So he's going to want to pop this back, but at the same time, it does give another weapon charge. That's also problematic.
So what about another Mal'Ganis from Bane of Doom?
Yeah, exactly. Do you go for Bane of Doom again?
That would be hilarious.
The problem is you only have 3 mana left. So if you get something like a Void Terror...
This Implosion is useless. Like, it doesn't actually fit the curve. If he got like another Void Walker or another low drop minion like the Knife Juggler, it would have been great.
But you have to do it because
There's
otherwise you have to play Doomguard.
What's hilarious is that Bane of Doom might summon Doomguard.
Yeah.
And then you kill the minion plus summon it. I mean, desperate times calls for desperate measures, and this is pretty high up there. And if you survive this turn, you play Mal'Ganis number 2?
Yeah.
And you possibly
and
win there.
Possibly, assuming he doesn't have an owl.
No, you have to get Mal'Ganis next turn.
The Doomguard also might discard Mal'Ganis,
So
right?
if you want to play Doomguard, you have to get the Defender of Argus first to your hand, because then you have less chances of discarding the Mal'Ganis. And
Right.
you need the Mal'Ganis. That's like...
Mal'Ganis!
Oh, no!
Mal'Ganis survived, so now he has a chance still.
Well, he's got to kill this Lotheb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after that there will be 4,
Right.
6, 9 points of damage.
Yeah,
so
so
too short.
basically, Dethelor has to pick up 2 points of damage next turn, and Forsen has to avoid tapping right here.
Oh, he knows. He will be dead on board. Leopardome still is going to be the problem. Oh.
Glaive Zuka is just +1.
Yeah, that is plus 1.
Yeah, you're right. It was only +1 damage right now.
It seemed good, but it wasn't good.
Hi, this is us, by the way, in case you forgot
In
what we looked like.
Stormwinds, we are actually in Stormwind right now, so please don't
This
raid us.
card will be used next. Wait. This card, but maybe
Yes.
not this turn.
I mean, that's kind of a dead draw for now. The weapon is still like 3 damage, effectively, versus how Glaive Zuka usually gives you the +1. He cashes
man.
in on the damage now.
Yeah, he goes in.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, he just needs to hero power. Can he expect the second Mal'Ganis?
Right. Well, I mean, you don't expect it. You consider it. But when you instantly drop this one, it's going to be nuts.
Wow, second Mal'Ganis. Dethelor
And
is
then
like,
the
all
little
right.
nod. Yeah,
Right,
I
and
know.
now he needs an owl or a
Huffer.
huffer.
Is
A
Huffer?
huffer would be good.
Huffer is enough. Huffer is enough.
Huffer is lethal. Is Leok lethal? That's 6. Not enough. Missing 1? No, actually.
No. Well, wait.
Wait, can he get lethal
Yeah, he
here?
can still attack into Mal'Ganis and then Glaive Zuka.
Yeah,
In
that's
fact,
a
he-
50-50.
In fact, he could have avoided this if he played that first.
But so he has to.
No,
He
actually,
would just no. Attack first with the weapon to Mal'Ganis.
Yeah.
Play Glaive Zuka, so you
Yeah.
have guaranteed
Exactly.
+1, and then you play Animal Companion and you win the game.
You
Yeah.
win with Leok.
There's a
you win with
67%
Huffer.
chance you could have won from there.
Yeah, 67%.
Instead, Dethelor, by playing Animal Companion first, reduces chances to 33%. Or so Blizzard claims, because they say it's a 33% chance to summon a random animal.
Oh, you're
companion.
talking about Huffer, okay?
Yeah,
because
Huffer
now-
was a possibility for lethal.
Yeah, but now he has 50%.
Yeah, he has 50%
Yeah,
with
now
the
it's
Glaive
50%.
Zuka buffing. But he has to attack first, so it's like taking 9.
I think you go for it.
Yeah.
All right, you go for 50% win. Abios Surgeon getting +1.
Ah, there it is.
It is.
Go!
Yeah.
God.
So Dethelor gets pretty fortunate because I think
That was a huge risk.
that could have been a bad repercussion, because if Forsen taunts the Void Caller next turn, you're not getting through the Mal'Ganis without Kill Command or
No
Owl.
way. No
And you
way.
already used 1 Kill Command, so he would have been on very few outs to win. So he made his life a lot more difficult than necessary.
Few.
It was just PM.
Yeah, sure, if you want to interpret it that way.
No, like honestly, he just didn't see the Leok play. Like when it. when he
Right.
got
I mean,
the-
you don't consider. You think Huffer immediately is lethal.
Yeah.
And so you think about that, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go for it. But you don't remember, like, oh, yeah, Leok is a possibility as
Exactly.
well.
That's why you have to rope each single turn.
One of your teammates does that.
And that's why
Yeah,
you have,
not
that's
only
why you have
one.
to play the Storm Moon in your decks.
Yeah.
that was
that's-
pretty intense.
That turn might cost Dethelor a few streaks of gray hair. Like, 50-50 when you had 100% lethal. Yeah.
But how amazing is that? He dealt with double Mal'Ganis this game.
See, he did.
And one was like a kind of like a keeper Mal'Ganis because it dealt 2 damage too instantly.
Is Mal'Ganis with a battle cry of doing 2 damage. Pretty
Oh.
insane. We have Patron Warrior versus Tempo Mage.
And there's the Esportal. Wow, the
Oh.
mirror image is really important in this matchup. Like, it stops the weapon, which
Yeah.
is huge.
You protect your minions. There is no. Or there's a couple of AoEs, but there's no brawl for Green Patron.
Most of the time. And there's no Fury War Eggs in
And
opening
another
hand.
Wow, that is the dream opener. Being
Top deck.
able to put out the Mana Worm, and that Mana Worm might do something like 12 damage this game for 1 mana.
Or 800.
Forsen has an amazing hand.
Or 800, just round up or down depending on what's
Yeah.
closer.
This will be a huge amount of damage. Like now, Esports into Direwolf.
No, you can just ping and protect it. I mean, it's all the same here because you're trying to make sure to continue to build up the pressure against the warrior, and you don't mind keeping things like Unstable Portal because you have the Flame Waker, so you can get synergy
good
there.
point.
So just to throw it there, this is a bad matchup for this kind of mage.
It should be without that
Hypothetically
kind
speaking.
of opener.
Yeah, this is the nuts. This is like the opening that you're always talking about. Well, Tempo Mage could win if he gets Mana Worm on the coin into a good curve, into the exact spells like Fireball to pressure him for the win.
Even the portal.
It's the same. Like, well, Freeze Mage can win against Contra Warrior if he has Emperor on turn 6 into
Right.
Antonidas, Coin, and other stuff.
and Control Warrior doesn't have Armor Smith, you know, Shield Maiden,
Alex
Shield
Straza.
blocks, yeah.
By the way, guys,
Ragnaros.
this is the different version. This is the version with shield block. So maybe it actually changes things. Shield block, shield slam. A bit of a mixture.
It's more defensive for sure. You take out cards like Dread Corsair, which don't really add too much into. It does help you a little bit with aggro because it does have taunt, but it's mainly there for the combos. And you need to definitely have like ways to stay alive against the pressure. So Patient Warriors struggles with that often.
This portal might be very huge.
This is something I didn't really like because trading here with Flamewaker actually says, okay, both of my minions are dead. But he could have gone with the Flamewaker to get like, you know, two juggles maybe to the Acolyte of Pain, but then the weapon wouldn't have killed the Flamewaker, which is I think kind of huge.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the one
But
additional card,
yeah.
but the one additional card and one minion, which can translate into like 4 damage each turn.
I think you're looking at it from that point of view, but you also realize that if it hits the Acolyte once and then he has to split damage, as opposed to
He had 2 mana left for his hero power.
yeah, but he wants to develop Mad Scientist though, right?
I think it was better to have the Flamewaker on the board, you know, because now
Because it represents so much damage.
I don't mind the avoidance of relying on RNG here from Forsen's point of view, so I'm okay with it. Although one thing that does amuse me is that Dethelor was pissed that he saw Twilight Whelp. It's like, that could have been so much worse than a 2-3. Not to mention that a 2-3 gave you information about his hand. Like, I wonder what dragon Tempo Mage runs. Oh, it's an Adra
I think he was pissed because he saw it as a 2-1. He was like, oh yes, and then it got buffed.
As a 2-3. It's like, oh no, it could have been like Van Cleef.
It could have been an Armani Berserker.
Right. Or it could have been a lot of other things. I mean, we could play this game all day, but the point is, I don't think Twilight Whelp's the worst.
Yeah, definitely not.
Alright, so going with those patrons to get his board up. How much damage is it for Forsen? That's at least 10.
So this is annoying.
Yeah.
Do you want to use Fireball on the patron?
I don't think so.
No, I think you can go ham.
Like, are you within striking distance? And you're very close. Azure Drake draws another card. You can even split it, like Mad Scientist goes into the 3-2 Grim Patron. So that way, whatever he plays next would also summon.
Yeah, well, I think Mirror Image is the way to go. If you want to pressure your opponent,
That's true.
Mirror Image, Mirror Entity, and then go Phase. Because you deal 4 damage, your minions are kind of safe against patrons because they can't spawn.
Yeah.
And if there's no Warstone Commander, you're pretty much safe. So
Also considering the fact that normally Grim Patron does not play shield block, we see double shield block now, so there is plus in health. But then who plays that? This is not a new build. I mean, this is a new build, actually. People are not playing shield blocks.
Yeah, it's starting to come a little bit more popular nowadays, but at the same time, the shield blocks here will be useful to stay alive. He's going to have to combine it with, maybe a whirlwind effect here. And does Forsen play AoE? I don't think so.
Does Forsen play counterspell? That's also important.
No, that's a good point to have. Battle Rage to draw cards first.
Armor Smith is important as well to get some armor.
So I guess you can use the shield slam in conjunction with the shield block. 15 is pretty significant to just stay above the double fireball range in the next couple turns.
So if you Whirlwind here, Armor Smith Whirlwinds, you will kill the Mad Scientist, you will proc the Secret.
Yeah.
You can assume, so this is not a counterspell, you know this is not a counterspell. You can assume this is the Mirror Entity. So
you will give your opponent another Mirror Entity, which doesn't really matter in this situation.
Yeah, that's a good... it's not that it doesn't matter, but it is relevant in the sense that you don't want to pop it unnecessarily. So this is actually a good hedge bet where he can force a second Secret to come out if he has it, but he doesn't. Nope. So he knows Mirror Entity doesn't get double value here.
Oh, that has
Forsen is just laughing
That's
at
kind of hilarious.
Just smirked.
Well, to be honest, maybe he'll just use all of his bad luck right now, because this is lost anyway.
Well, you're saying bad luck, but he had Mal'Ganis from turn 4, and he had this opening. So I think RNG-wise, everything is even here. But it seems like Dethelor is getting an edge.
I mean, I think Dethelor's definitely gotten the edge in terms of how the outcomes have been. You know, the Glaive Zuka comes to mind with how that game finished.
Yeah.
But for sure, Forsen definitely had his opportunity, his moments, and it's not really working out.
All right, so it seems like Dethelor is getting that advantage, and you know, Forsen is running out of steam, more or less. He has the 1000
Yeah,
Drake.
like how does he deal with an armor smith that gets played here? I mean, it gets copied, sure, and Forsen does gain a little bit of armor, but he can't win the race eventual damage. He just concedes. That'll wrap up game number 2 here. Dethelor's up 2-0, and I was expecting this to be a little closer in the initial stages, but at the same time, it is Conquest, so you can come back. Forsen still has to win with everything up against the Warlock remaining for Dethelor.
That's true.
I think Forsen still has a chance. He is running free aggro decks, and it's hard to counter them. So this Warlock, what do you guys think it is? Is it Demon, Handlock?
I'm going to go with Handlock just to kill the Patrons. I feel like people who play Patron, who bring Patron to this tournament, recognize how strong it is. So you bring Patron that can win the mirror, and you bring something that kills Patron, and you just cross your fingers for Hunter.
So, but you can also like make a whole lineup against patrons, but still lose to patrons.
That's true. Well, that's like the same with anything, you know. You can make an anti-Hunter deck with 2 Kazans and heals and still lose to Hunter.
Well, Hunter is like more consistent than patron, I would say.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I would probably disagree.
Why? This is where you like explain your point.
Yeah. Well, because of the hero power. Because the hero power is strictly tuned to your deck composition and to your deck strategy. And in the case of Patron, your hero power basically does something that you didn't want to do at all.
But on the other hand, you have more draw. So,
well, you know, if you think about the hero power again, his hero power is basically a card each turn.
that's true.
So I think the draw is not so important for Hunter. That's why people play Face Hunter with no draw at all, because you have the hero power that acts like a card each single turn.
Look at that board, by the way. That Ancient Watcher being silenced next turn would be so great. Start trading. And then there is the Hellfire as well.
Yeah, and what's extra painful is that Forsen doesn't have, like, this Ancient Watcher could easily 2 for 1 and then, you know, demand a hero power, which you can see is really important to Tempo Mage in general. Like, they can't fall behind the mana usage like that.
Yeah, it's true. And he also falls behind cards because, you know, if the Ancient Watcher kills like 2 creatures, then Forsen is really in a bad situation when the Mechanical Yeti doesn't do much. It's just a 4-5 minion, basically nothing else, and it can be easily stopped by whatever Dethelor plays with just a taunt. Like, imagine a Sludge Belcher being drawn in turn 5.
Well, at least it gives him a spare part when it dies. And if he draws the Flame Waker, it's something.
That's a pretty good draw, all things considered. The Frostbolt deals with it immediately, and now you can push for it. And he can't Hellfire this turn. He only has 3 mana.
So this means he has to draw Immortal Coil. Gyraxis.
No
Do you
coil
play the Temple Big Game Hunter?
Tempo Big Game Hunter? You might. It's so early.
I mean, it's against Tempo Mage, but you can also save it as a card that you want to play into Mirror Entity.
Well, actually, you have that Hellfire next turn.
That's also true.
Wow. So now you have to kill the owl.
Yeah, now you have to, if you
call.
make the commitment with the Yeti, you have to kill the owl, just to deny the Hellfire value.
Right.
2 Belchers, well, that seems to be a really decent draw.
Tempo BGH this time instead of Hellfire. Even though Forsen has only 2 cards.
Yeah, I think the Big Game Hunter this turn makes a lot less sense. Because it's like, you're not going to hide the fact that you have Hellfire.
But look at that. Forsen drawing back-to-back an Usher Drake.
That's really huge.
Yeah, look at that. That is doing it with... Such Belcher is not going to stop him for now.
Let's see. Well, Mirror Entity is not going to be useful this... What is it? I mean, are you going to press a little bit for damage?
So Frodan, you mentioned that Unstable Portal is your favorite card. Why is that?
Well, because it's just so consistent, you know? Like, I love the fact that I know what I get out of it every single time.
Oh, sorry.
The worst card possible for my scenario. Now, versus Unstable Portal, what my opponent does gets the best card exactly what he needed for my deck.
Like a Big M Hunter when you play or like Straza. Or
Yeah,
something
exactly.
Like we
or
played the show
you know,
match.
like Hemet Nesting Wary against my Druid the Claw.
Remind me, what did I get when we played the show match live?
Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good card.
Yeah, there it is. Ancient Watcher, Mirrored Entity is probably the best interaction possible, considering that usually you don't get anything unless it's a spare part that happens to have Rusty Horde.
There's 18% chance to get a legendary minion from Unstable Portal.
Is he going for 50-50
Oh, I
here?
had no idea. Oh, you're right. No, he doesn't. He can't push for lethal though. But if he goes for the flame
The
cannon,
50-50 flame cannon.
And double portal. This is so cool. He hits it. Dethelor is really not happy about this outcome.
And the fireball. This will be a kill command fireball.
Fireball for 8. Fireball for 8.
yeah,
so
this is really difficult. Like you might, I mean, like Lotheb aside, you might just die to the damage on both the minions. It's not even about the spells anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, I
So-
think this is over. You have to play Lotheb here. You attack into the 4-1, maybe attack into the Yeti, but then again you want to deny the spell damage. And play-
Well, if you play Lotheb, you spell block, so he can't play Fireball at all.
but
And
you're
then
dead.
yeah, but you also kill the mechanical Yeti. You might get a spare part.
Yeah, you need
So then
You
the
kill
spare
the-
part can freeze one of the drakes,
So
or even
first-
taunt.
First of all, you kill the Yeti to see the outcome. Or just not do that at all. What was the incentive to tap here?
If you tap, you're still okay. You're still out of Frostbolt range because it only does 5 damage. Wait. No.
That's
Yeah. Why did he tap? Because he can't play that plus
So he wants.
Lotheb now. Okay, he's playing without spells in mind.
Yeah, he has to assume that there are no spells. in
Yeah.
Forsen's
Now,
hand.
Forsen's gonna play the unstable portals for sure.
Yeah, of course.
All right,
Then
Razor
finish-
Fin Hunter. That's
then-
exactly what we expected. Van Cleef. I like to see that.
Whoa.
Whoa, Sylvanas. That 18%.
So Forsen not dead yet. He's fighting back. He won the game with the mage. He still has the Max Shaman, I believe, and his Zoo with demons.
Yeah. More importantly, he found out what kind of warlock this was without
That's-
losing a game.
That's very good.
Yeah,
information.
it's
Very
important
valuable.
considering now he can mulligan a little bit more appropriately. You know, if he doesn't like us, if he wants a certain card for that matchup, he can keep it. And here we go. We go straight into game number 4. Now
Yep.
this deck, how do you feel like it goes against Handlock, Lothar?
It's really bad. It's really bad.
Demon Lock.
Demon Lock does really bad against Handlock because most of the time you won't have an option how to clear the big minions unless you have an Owl with Mortal Coil against like a Twilight Drake. But then there's a Giant and you have no big game hunters in the deck. So you need to deal damage like, you know, the way the Druid does most of the time with his face. So
Right.
It's a really similar case to standard Zoo versus Handlock, where you just get stopped by big stuff. Your board is getting cleared. But considering if it wouldn't be a Handlock, this hand looks pretty nice with double egg and
Yeah.
Gangbos Defender Vargas.
Yeah, you're also worried about a Void Terror coming out here. I think
I think the Owl is really great. In
Yeah,
up
so-
to
if he Void Terror to be a 3/5 and a 4/4 on the board, it is pretty risky to tap, but
That
ends
is
up
a
working
mana.
out okay.
That
Oh, this is only, yeah, sorry,
that
this
was
is
not
turn
enough.
2, excuse me. Then in that case, it's perfectly fine. If you need proof that Frodan is an idiot, then there you go. You can take that timestamp. Match number 4, Forsen
Void
versus
Color,
Dethelor. Frodan made a mistake.
That's a huge draw. The Void Color might change the course of the game because
Oh.
of the Mal'Ganis in hand.
Yes, you're right.
And this might seem like the game that we already saw. Savish versus Orange.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
That was the same. Turn 6 kill with Mal'Ganis on board.
In Zoo versus Handlock?
Yeah.
Or Demon Lock versus Handlock? Yeah, that was the first game of the series.
He also has so many demons, right? With the Gangbos,
Right.
if there's a Hellfire, like, you can't Hellfire this.
Yeah, you can't Shadow Flame this because it leaves up a bunch of minions. It's like, if you silence Void Caller, though, which is the high priority, then you don't have it for the eggs, and the board is resisting its AoE. I mean, this is kind of what makes the Demon Lock so explosive and scary.
Yeah, and this is also the blowback from the situation he didn't play the owl on turn 2, on turn 3, because
Yeah.
now he can't deal with the minions and silence, as you said, at the same time.
I
something
love the
else.
eye contact you make with me, Lothar, when you say blowback. It hits me in all the right spots.
Does he really
knew
have
it.
to? Does he really have to take care of the minions here?
Yeah, Lothar on curve makes sense. Like, Owl doesn't really pair well with anything other than Big Game Hunter mana-wise, and that's still really uncomfortable. But now, witness the destruction. Mal'Ganis once again!
This is just so huge.
But there
It's
is
a
a
huge
Big
demon.
Game Hunter. There is a Big Game Hunter waiting in the hand, but it's the fact that you just get, like, if he didn't have this Big Game Hunter, the game would be over.
Yeah.
If he uses Big Hunter, is there a Moral Coil at least? There's Dark Bomb.
Well, he could have Shadow Flamed and
Oh,
Dark
yeah,
Bombed,
you could have.
but then you spawn 2 Nerubians, and that's not what you want to
No,
do.
no.
Maybe you want them actually.
Do you?
Ah.
I don't
You
think
have
so in
double
this
Molten
situation.
Giant. You have. Do you have the Taunt Giver? No Taunt Giver for now.
But you didn't see any POs. Imagine like a double PO. Now that's 8 damage from the hand.
Right. Doomguard as well.
this game is not over yet. Dethelor is fighting.
No, and like Forsen would probably be a lot more mad if he knew that his deck was heavily dependent on just the Mal'Ganis. We've seen some aggressive decks. Now I'm thinking about the person who won Nvidia recently, Victor Stay. He actually played a really aggressive Warlock that was like Zoo with Soulfire and Dark Bombs
Wolf
and
Rider.
Power Overwhelmings, Wolf Riders, which like charge minions.
Wow.
And then Mal'Ganis is like he topped out at like 3 mana, had Leroy and Mal'Ganis. That was his curve, and Doom Guards. But like some decks are dependent on having Mal'Ganis as like a finisher or condition. But this deck is well equipped to go into the late game with lots of threats. Doctor Boom, double Bane of Dooms, which can also turn in his favor. I mean, that's not bad either, being able to activate one of the eggs and taunt it up.
That's a really good move because now the Nerubian is out of range of Shadow Flame.
Right.
And that's really important. But he doesn't respect the Moldens.
There's Silence, Shadow Flame, and Moltens, right? No, you will not Molten. You just Silence, Shadow Flame.
Well, if you had a Sun Fury Protector, right, then you tap and you go double
Right.
Moltens and
Sun
Sun Fury and you almost win the game. But
Well, he does have a Shadow Flame play this turn with...
does it do much? It spawns 2 minions. Wait,
No, it doesn't.
it spawns 1 minion,
Yeah,
right?
but if you silence, if you use the owl, you can kill one of the minions.
Yeah, I'm thinking that if you wanted to, you can silence... You can, I don't want to use a Molten Giant to Shadow Flame. But let's just put that out there. Because the Molten Giant's really powerful to control the state of the board.
And just to finish the game.
Right. If you silence like the Nerubian, for example, or
You silence
actually
the
the egg,
5/5.
you probably silence...
No, you silence the 5/5 because what's better, facing a 4/4 or a 5/1?
A 5-1.
A
because then
5/1,
you,
I think.
But
then you can
5/1
draw
is-
a Mortal Coil.
But then you're at 13. Can you die if there is a 5/1? You die to.
Well, you die to double PO.
Overwhelming
Yeah,
and,
but,
Anyway, so it's
yeah,
better.
and a Doom Guard. I think it's okay to just leave a 5/1 as opposed to a 4/4 that's like pretty healthy.
Oh,
So he'll into Shadow Flame with the Giant, and this is really painful because now again, all initiative has been given to the Zoo, and you also don't get this double Molten, which is your swing turn. That's another huge opportunity.
that's really...
Depends. All right,
Oh,
got
okay.
average results. And now he gets a guaranteed snipe on the Ancient Watcher. Okay. It's all the same, essentially.
It's not
Yeah.
the same. Like, he has the one less creature on board.
Yeah, but effectively, it's like these minions are going to be able to push through whether or not he has it.
There is the Taunt Giver finally for Dethelor.
So now Twilight Drake, Molten Giant, Defender Vargas.
Would you... Oof, I'm always really hesitant about leaving Knife Juggler, but that's your best bet here.
Second
That's-
Implosion might be huge.
Yeah, but it's so much taunt. It's incredible.
PO. So you can kill one of the creatures.
Yeah, we'll see where this juggle lands. It might be relevant for the attack.
No, it's not.
Yeah, ends up not being. Guess you want to kill off the Molten first.
So you have to sacrifice Nerubian.
Yep. And the thing is, you can leave the Twilight Drake, like, as opposed to the Molten, because Twilight Drake is definitely easy to punish through silence. And he also cashes in because he realizes the power of like things like Hellfire.
But that's a complete turnaround. Right
It
now
is.
with double heal bot in hand, Belcher.
Yeah, he's almost locked out of the game here. It depends. He has like a very finite clock.
It's not like this deck has a
really.
little burst actually. Like this is a zoo. It depends on the board. You do have Doom Guards, you do have powers, but you need some minions.
I mean, he's using almost all of his mana, but his plays are just so much weaker. Oh wait, this could be lethal. Depends on how the boombots hit, right?
The problem with Forsen situation here was the fact that he
That's
didn't.
it. That's 15. Enough.
GG.
Yep. He
What?
did 3 damage on the
I think like Forsen didn't top enough in this game, because now he was left without any cards, right? And he would have get more options if he just wouldn't